Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our show, Definitely Gospel Centered. My name is Gaby Duke, and my sign nickname looks like this. Today, we're going to have a deep conversation on the topic of marriage. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because our couple today has been married for 27 years. Wow! I know I'm going to learn a lot too. So our couple today is Steve and Mandy Dye. They both have unique signed nicknames. Welcome, you guys. We are so excited that you're here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
We're very excited to be here.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's been a busy, there's no kids here, so it's been nice to have just us two here.
No kids at home?
Our kids are gone with their friends, so it's just the two of us, running errands, taking time to spend together.
Yeah. That's so nice. I have two younger kiddos at home. One was 5 and the other's 2. So I know it's been a long time.
I don't miss those days. That's cute. I don't miss those days at all.
You don't miss those days?
Running around, taking care of them. It's just a lot.
That's true. Yeah. But I know it's important to have a good foundation with the little ones. I know that one day I'm going to look back and know that these days were sweet. But right now I just want to kill them.
That's very much true. We've been through all that.
Right.
And we've survived so far.
And you're still married.
We're still married, that's right.
Well, first, congratulations on 27 years of marriage.
Thank you.
So what's the one thing that you would say you keep going back to help you stay on a strong and steady marriage track, and that makes your marriage a priority?
I always cheat, and I try to apply it to myself, to the 4 C's, that's what I call them. The first C is communication, obviously. Communication is a must. The second is compromise. I can't always win. Mandy wins sometimes, and I don't. The third C is community. What I do at home must match what I do outside in the community. Sometimes married couples, they're angry at home, but then when they go out to the community, church and work, they put on this facade and act nice. And the fourth C, I'll save for later, to keep you curious. And also, we also try to show our kids at home, what we apply at home, we apply at church. When we're happy, we're happy. When we're sad, we're sad. We show it. We don't try to put that perfect expectation on. We try to show reality and what normal is normal and that kind of stuff. So whatever you're feeling inside, it must be applied to the same what we're feeling at work, at home, or at church. That way we can show that we're not perfect and our identity is rooted in Christ. And we strive to be like Christ. But we will never be perfect enough, but we can just strive to be like Him every day. Life is hard itself. As going through the pandemic, our rules are still the same in how we function as a family, as a married couple. It doesn't change. It's no different.
Yeah. I love how the two of you, what's the sign for emphasize? Yeah, I forgot the sign for
that.
Emphasize, right. I like how you guys, conduct your lives outside your home and inside the home are the same. I know that many people who have suffered traumatic experiences from things being kind of disjointed, and now they carry a perspective of spiritual confusion because of that.
Right. I think we learned early on in our marriage Um, when we were single, she would do her things her way and I would do things my way. And then when we got married, we had to learn how to blend that together. That's what the Lord meant when he said, when two must become one. When two become one, everything, there's no more me or I. It's now we, our.
Right. So, well, wait, I forgot to ask you guys, how did you guys meet?
You want to share it? I would say the long version. I'll try to keep it short. Really, we met at, we went to different schools growing up. We've been involved in all programs where there was no interpreters. We started dating at 16. We went to prom together, married at 18, and we've been married for 27 years now. It feels like forever. I knew she would be my wife at 6 years old. I pursued her, and I won.
Yeah, that's funny. So the two of you are high school
yeah,
we
were high school sweethearts.
Wow. You went to the same school for the deaf, right?
We went to two different mainstream schools.
Oh, okay. You were in regular school with kids who could hear. Oh, okay. But so you went to different schools. So the first time you met was at a school event?
Yeah, it was at a mini deaf Olympic in Kentucky. It's really a big thing in Kentucky. She was involved, and I was more involved in the baseball camp and stuff like that. It happened when I went to pick up my brother from camp that week. I met her mom. Oh, Mandy's here, and I was like, where? And I saw her, and my heart just like finished. I was in love with her.
That's sweet.
We had a 10-year gap between from 5 to 6 years old to the age of 16. The last time we saw each other, we were at about 6 years old, and then we haven't seen each other in 10 years. But we also met at like a deaf reunion that same year. And then from there, history just been in the making from there.
Wow. That's so cool. I love that. We don't often see high school sweethearts still together.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your 4 C's you were talking about earlier. So you said the first one is communication. So tell me what makes communication so important to the two of you.
I think for me, because of how I grew up, I do have some deaf in my family growing up. But there was no, interpreters around. I knew basic sign language, like ABC, but I wasn't proficient in sign language. I wasn't. But most of my growing up experience, I used oral as my main communication. But life was different for him. It was more challenging for him than it was for me. Yeah, I was the only deaf person in my family and in my mainstream program. She had more deaf people in her mainstream, so I had to relive a lot, and that was tough. I didn't know sign language until I was about 25 years old. So, my wife was my teacher. He's better than me now. He's more skilled. But if you're talking about communication related to marriage, I've learned that I had to match how she communicates. Sometimes she's very visual, so I have to write sometimes. For example, most married couples struggle with financial. I take care of the bill every month, and I write it out, what we need to pay, and then I take it to her. She looked at it, and she gets an idea, and I tell her I'm going to go ahead and pay for this, and this is what we have left. That's how we communicate. I just don't go ahead and buy it and then without telling her. No, I communicate to her first. That's our money. That's not my money, but that's our money. That's very true. And it's a wonderful system that we have. And we're able to work together, particularly just talking about like finances. A lot of marriage problems relate to financial and the miscommunication of it. For me, if we see the visual, it helped a lot. It solved a lot of problems.
So the two of you had to figure out the best way to communicate with each other, which means practicing and trying your best to communicate the best with each other. Wow. So, Mandy, you said that your communication style with Steve was pretty much reading lips or used ASL. I'm wondering about how you communicate best with him. In what way?
Growing up, we talked. Dating, we talked. We didn't sign at all. Maybe except ABCs once in a while. But then when we got married, it was still the same. We talked until our 4th year of marriage. I decided for fun, I threw him in the lion's den of the deaf community. Because I've already learned something at college. I learned more in depth when I was about 18 years old. And I thought, wow, he needs the same experience, that same growth. That's where he picked it up. So now, when we go on a date, we have to sign. There's no more talking orally, speaking. It doesn't work for us. We're really dependent on sign.
Yeah.
It's a clear communication for us.
My husband and I mix up our communication styles. Sometimes we use voice, sometimes we use sign language. It really depends on the situation.
When we go on a date to a restaurant, let's try. And we'll, play around, and then we end up signing. It's already set for us. It's embedded into us. But unfortunately, we just had a discussion the other day. If we were in a hospital, during COVID, we lost our lip reading for each other. We're so used to signing. Now that we have masks, it blocked us in that communication. Now we have to figure out how to do that, and we haven't had to experience that before.
So if you have miscommunications, what happens? How do you handle that and, move forward?
That happens often. We're not perfect. Yeah. We have a lot of misunderstanding often. And often we have to go back. One of her favorite quotes is what? Change your approach. Or choose your battle. Why? We can't pick on a small thing. It's worthless. Sometimes things that I try to communicate, she doesn't understand. And I try to communicate it again, and it doesn't work. So then I have to try a different method until, she gets it. Many couples give up easily. No, I stay in there, and I keep going. I'm not the type of person, we're not the type of people who give up easily. We stay persistent until we get it. Sometimes with misunderstanding, and because we have teenagers, our youngest is a teen, and their language is different than our language. Those type of new words that emerge all the time. I'm more of a go with the flow personality type, but sometimes I'm stumped with new words. And Steve gets it sometimes because he's out there in the community and he picked it up quickly. And I'm more of a housewife right now. So with COVID, it's been a little bit harder with picking up, what's new. He comes home and he educates me, he teaches me. And I just go, why can't we just communicate like we've done before? It's so much simpler. what famous with couple to go through, would teen go to mom and they ask mom if they, if I can do this or this, and mom says sure, but they haven't. She hasn't discussed with me. Or if the teen come to me and I say no, I don't think it's right, and they say mom says yes, and I have to go to her, and a teen take advantage of that. We have to remember it's a triangle. Should be both parents involved in the decision making, not just one. What do you tell our teens now? If they come to me, I always say, what did mom say? And I say, what did dad say? To balance it out. It works. It makes sure that we're on the same page.
That's right. Same team. My 5-year-old, he's doing that right now to me. Like, he'll ask me something, and of course I nod my head. Okay. Or I say no. And then he goes straight to his dad asking for things like, can I have a cookie? His dad says, sure. And then I see him later eating the cookie after I've already told him no. And he's like, well, Daddy said I could have it. Yeah, it starts so early.
What happens if mom and dad says no? They go to grandma.
That's right. Grandma and grandpa always say yes. Well, yeah, that's a good response. I'll have to be thinking about how to apply that to my own life. And that Bible scripture that says, think of other people better than yourself? Yeah, it's tough if you blow up about something or you're in a disagreement. How do we do that? How do we think in that moment about each other and put each other above the other? It takes humility. It sounds like you both recognize that, and it's important in the marriage. Yeah. So I was wondering, what is the one thing that surprised you about marriage?
Marriage? We try to stay in the same way that we've always done and not change it. We still play the same game that we played in years. During COVID was really tough. She's good at preparing and prepping food, stocking, water, different things like that. To be ready if it becomes bad. She's typically ready. Me? I'm not. She does it for me. And for everyone. I always make extra food for friends in need. When I got COVID, I was stuck at home for 10 weeks. It was really hard. And I was really grateful that I've already prepared beforehand, so there's less stress on him, about having to go to the grocery store. That was really a difficult time. And just rest and recover. That was a great time to really do that. It also felt good to help other people who have different situations and be able to provide them with food if they need it.
What are you guys most thankful for?
We're thankful that we're still alive. I'm most thankful for her forgiveness. Because I've made so many mistakes. And I have to go to her often, and I have to confess to her these mistakes that I've made. Of course, she'll be disappointed. But did she object about that? No, she just forgives me for it. She shows me grace. I'm thankful for grace. The constant grace of the Lord, and every day is a new day.
Right.
And she's cheap, too. If I make a mistake, I don't have to buy a gift of flour because she doesn't need it. She just wants a hug. It's free.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's an amazing example of God's love for us to show that love to each other every day because you can forgive each other, giving grace to each other. Wow.
If you don't forgive, then how can you show love?
Yeah, it's hard. If not, it becomes like a bitter heart. Yeah.
True.
That's a good reminder for me too, because if I have a disagreement with my husband, it's easy to think that I'm right about this and this and this, but you're wrong. Or if I make a mistake, but this way we can learn together. Marriage, it's a learning process of life, and our kids for them to learn too. Yeah. So if other people who are married and they're watching today, but they're really struggling, what kind of advice can you give to them?
That's a good question. There's many. Really, you give us hope. Now, we're sinners. We will make mistakes often. So really, when you learn the word and the purpose of grace and of forgiveness, it's really more simple than people realize. It relieves stress, bitterness. I can't imagine holding on to bitterness for so long. When we get into argument or whatever, it only lasts about 10 to 20 minutes and that's it. And then we move on. Because if we were the type of people to obsess over it, it seems impossible to enjoy life. Just face it with grace, forgiveness, and just move on. Let tomorrow worry about itself. My father, on our wedding day, my father came to me and said, remember, this is important to remember, 4 words. 4 words, that's all. Happy wife, happy life. For me, a happy spouse is a happy life. My father said that. Why? Because my job is not to make myself happy, but to make her happy. I can't focus on me. I have to think of her more than myself. When you just mentioned that verse, if people get married for the purpose of themselves, to make themselves happy, then that's the wrong reason to get married. I'm in this to make sure she's happy. Because if she's not happy, it will affect me to not be happy. And the second thing is, Scripture talk about husband loves the wife just as Jesus loved his bride, the church. And metaphorically, I'm Jesus to her. So the way that I behave, if it's not appropriate, I must be like Christ to my wife. By showing grace, forgiveness, loving her, giving her support, all of these things must. If I miss any of those, I'm not following his example. It's always important to support your spouse journey, your husband journey, because he's the man of the house, he's over the family. And I always try to teach my friends, be your husband's biggest cheerleader, because life is hard as stuff. Try to be encouraging. Be your husband's cheerleader. And everything will work itself out. So we had communication, compromise, community, and commitment. Commitment is the last 4 C. Once you say I do, that's it. You're committed all the way to the up, to the down, to the bad, to the good, to the sickness and health, and poor and richness. It doesn't matter all the way you committed, because God is in there, and God has blessed our marriage, and we must honor him with all of our decisions. Yeah, true.
Yeah. I love that. So again, the 4 C's are
communication, community,
compromise.
Compromise.
Then community. What does that look like for the two of you? Right.
Whatever it looks like at home must look like outside. Be real.
Yeah. And then the last one, commitment.
It's
a decision for life.
Right. You know, I like to quote, I can't remember the exact word. You work for money, but you don't work for the marriage. Money is paper. Marriage is not paper. So why not work for both? Marriage requires work. Marriage requires a husband, a wife, and Jesus. The 3 must be in it. If Jesus is not in it, our marriage won't survive. And that's very true. When we were young, before we were committed to him, we party a lot, things like that. Alcohol was a big thing in our life, and it was bad. We didn't have Christ in our heart fully at that time. And then we started to see, and then one day, I decided to quit drinking. And I thought that I wasn't honoring Christ, I wasn't honoring my family, so I just quit. We've been married for 27 years, and I've been sober for 24 years.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's different. Wonderful. All 3 of my kids have never seen or remembered their father drinking, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. That's God's grace on you.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys have a powerful story. Really, nothing is impossible with God. He can work through marriage struggles or personal struggles, sin, addiction, anything, And that's like Mandy said earlier, we have hope because of God's grace. Yeah.
That's true.
Wow, I love that. Also, you said something about a husband's responsibility and a wife's responsibility, and they both have value. One is not valued more than the other, but together, we are together. I just love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Well, our time has run out, but yeah, I just love our conversation. And you both have encouraged me to remember that me and my husband, we are a team working together, encouraging each other, because it can become easy to criticize. You're right. Life is already hard enough. It's so important for husbands and wives to encourage each other, and the kiddos too, which makes it a safe place to raise a family.
Amen. You finished read the book Love Dare?
No.
It's from the movie Fireproof.
Oh, not yet. I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't? That book, one chapter in there that I often remind myself, I can't remember what the chapter is, but it talked about in your heart, you have 2 separate rooms. One room is called the appreciation room. I mean, you enter that room, and all the positive things related to my wife, she's beautiful, supportive, she's a good woman, she's a good mother, all the positive things.
Yeah.
But in the other room, it's called depression. It means the negative. That room has all the negative thought. She's not a good woman. She's a lousy mom, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I have to decide which room that I want to visit. The positive and negative every day. Which room I visit the most.
Right.
So if I go to the positive, I'll stay positive. If I go to the negative room, I'll go negative. So I have to remind myself to think positive all the way. And that's hard sometimes. It's really hard. But it requires work.
Yeah.
That goes to the 4C, commitment. That's why it's always important to communicate. You know, whenever we have problem, a good time, whatever, it's how we communicate it that it's important that we need to pay attention.
That's
instead
true.
of saying, I'm mad at you, or I don't like you, simply say, change your approach, please. Give him the hint instead of being negative. You know? Communicate. If he's upset with me, he'll tell me the same thing. You know, if I hurt his feeling, I need to change my wording or my facial expression instead of using, harsh, ugly words. That's not good.
Right.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah, that is an important part.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. It was such a great conversation.
We're so thankful for having us. It's a wonderful experience, and thank you for your time.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to test you. What's the 4 C's?
Right. Okay. So the first one is communication. The second is not community.
Compromise.
Right. Compromise. Then community, and then commitment.
Commitment, right? Good.
Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully people will be watching and they'll feel encouraged by you serving each other. And if people aren't married, they will know that marriage and single life, they're both challenging, but they're just a different kind of challenging. But anyways, thank you so much for watching today. And if you have any questions about Steve or Mandy and their story, please leave a comment or contact me. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye, everyone.
Love you. Bye.